Hey everybody, it's Cargo. Regular Show is awesome, and I don't think many disagree with that factor. Regular Show combines clever dialogue with very outlandish stories, and it works well almost every time. And I say almost because there are some blunders out there. But the question is, why am I telling you such known info? Well, I've recently been binging Regular Show Season 3, not one of the strongest seasons, but still a season that I thoroughly enjoyed. Well, there was an episode in that season that is extremely bonkers. To be specific, episode 13, Weekend at Benson's. Let's talk about it. First, a little backstory. Weekend at Benson's was released on January 16th, 2012. The exact day I started writing the script. Not 2012, January 16th. But me starting in 2012 would explain why I've been absent of cartoon reviews for so long. It was directed by Mike Roth, known for helping out with many Nickelodeon properties and also working on Cartoon Network shows such as Flapjack, Camp Lazlo, and others. It was written by Cal Arts graduate Benton Connor and storyboarded by Hilary Florido, famous for having an awesome last name. Obviously, the title was inspired by the 1989 movie Weekend at Bernie's. Anyway, let's talk about the actual episode. It starts out with Mordecai and Rigby bickering about what way to twist a light bulb. Obviously true Chad's twisted and right, so we don't know what they're fighting for. Benson quickly comes over and starts yelling at them to do it right, and they think they do and start cheering. Okay, first thing off the bat, I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I really do not care for the whoa, 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 whoa Mordecai and Rigby do in the series. It's charming, yes, but it's not really pleasant on the ears. Benson, in his usual ways, yells right in their eardrums that he's going to do it himself. Then it gets really chaotic as Benson says that he needs to be somewhere, with Mordecai and Rigby downing that. Then Rigby continues to ask him where he's going to be, but Mordecai starts yelling at Rigby to stop doing that. Then Rigby slaps him in the palm and says Mordecai's annoying him. Then Mordecai says Rigby's annoying him, and then they start wrestling on the ladder with Benson getting swayed and pummeled between the streetlight, which then Rigby spear tackles Mordecai into the ladder, causing Benson to flail into the air and fall flat on his face on the ground. I think this scene just defines some of the things I love about Regular Show. Mordecai and Rigby not caring about their original task and then just going off on each other, causing Benson to get the problems, in this case, a coma, is hilarious. Back to the story. Mordecai and Rigby start worrying that Benson might fire them if he remembers what they did. So they have to think on what to do. Mordecai has a plan, but Rigby wants to bury him with a shovel. Obviously, Rigby has the truly better plan, but they go ahead with Mordecai's idea. Mordecai and Rigby drag him into the golf cart and start driving, and in 0.2 seconds, he's fallen out of the cart. The amount of Benson abuse in this episode is more than my daily quota. This is too much to handle. Then they strap him down with tape on the cart and put sunglasses on him in a reference to the original movie. Then, Muscle Man appears from the trees ready to fire away with his mom jokes. Mordecai pounds the gas to get away from him, but then Muscle Man puts on his best Usain Bolt impression and starts putting on the burners. He finally catches up with them and thanks Benson for the jazz concert tickets for him and his date. Muscle Man thanks Benson for the jazz concert tickets for him and his date and runs off. I don't know how the Green Giant got a date, but that's not my business. Mordecai and Rigby then drag Benson to his apartment, but then are interrupted by his neighbor who apparently invited him to a party earlier. Mordecai has to break the news that Benson can't come, making the neighbor sad and having her walk back in. Mordecai feels bad and then insists that they go in. You know, Mordecai isn't the greatest character because he's an asshole a lot of the time and he's But Mordecai often shows a lot of care for others, and this occasion is no exception. Anyway, they go in and start partying, and I'm surprised that they've kept Benson up for this long. I'm surprised nobody has seen Mordecai and Rigby clearly move his arms. Anyway, after a montage, they sit down with the girl, Audrey apparently, and they move Benson's hand onto hers. Woo! Is this what sex is like? But then, Audrey's old boyfriend, Chuck, gets jealous and starts slapping Benson with his own hand. But then, Mordecai clearly lifts up Benson's hand to slap Chuck's drink in his face. How is no one seeing him clearly move him around? Anyway, Chuck challenges them to a spice eating challenge where they both repeatedly eat spicy foods that keep leveling up. First, a handful of jalapenos, then a bucket full of habaneros, then a bottle full of hot sauce, and so on. Benson wins because he's unconscious, and Chuck begins to make a beautiful concoction known as the Mississippi Queen as the final blow. Mordecai and Rigby are obviously nervous for Benson, but not for long as Benson wakes up to the aroma of the spicy smoothie. Benson is furious and is about to go off on them when he sees Audrey outside the door cheering him on. Because of this, Benson gets the motivation to drink the Mississippi Queen. On the circumstances that Mordecai and Rigby do it too, or they're fired. They drink it and it tasted like nothing. Well, not for long, as we go into a flippin' LSD scene as we are given trippy and creepy visuals over the 1970s song Mississippi Queen by Mountain. Stuff like their heads expanding and stretching, or them just turning into peppers, whatever the conditions, this scene is awesome, and I think this is what a lot of people know this episode for. After the scene is over, they wake up the next morning back at the park on the ground. Benson starts getting mad at them again until Mordecai points out there is a note on his chest. Dispenser. Dick. I have no idea what that is. Benson reads the note and it's Audrey's phone number. Mordecai and Rigby ask what it is and he just smiles and says get back to work. And that's where the episode ends. Well, I have to say, this was pretty good. I thought the story was decent and it flowed quite well. I thought the slapstick and the humor was just spot on, and I still love the trip out sequence. This episode and most of regular show just has this chill vibe that I feel with no other show, and I think that's why so many people my age love it. Overall, I would say this is one of, if not the best episode of regular show I've seen so far, but who knows what could come next. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed my first cartoon discussion in a year and a half, and I hope that will bring people back to my content. This was pretty fun to make, and I hope I have the interest to make more in the future. With all that said, I'll see you guys later.